Hey guys, OGalbina here, bringing you guys our APA Season 7 Week 8 battle against T-Row and his Columbus Cobalians. Little bit of a different video today. Obviously see my face cam on the Teambuilder just because I wanted you guys to see my pretty face at least one time today, because we're doing something a little bit different with this video. Like I said, we're going to be having two other people commentate my game. I'm sure if you watch Draft, you've seen a couple people do this. I've done it on a bunch of people's channels, and it's been really interesting. Let me take off my headphones. It's been really interesting. And I've enjoyed doing it on other people's channels. I wanted to, kind of see what you guys thought. I'll be having Matt O'Shea and Tone commentate my game. So I'll be playing, they'll be narrating, kind of giving their thoughts, their raw opinions, and, what's going on the battle. So you won't hear me talking at all past the team builder. Yeah, it'll definitely be an interesting thing. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys would like to see maybe like a video a week or a video every couple weeks of like this commentary type style. I liked it. I thought it was fun because I get to kind of really focus on the game, and I feel like it's great for me right now when I'm like super slumping. So hopefully we can kind of break this loss streak here in the APA doing it. If you guys do enjoy this, new type video, be sure to drop a like as well as comment down below. Tell Matt and Tone that they did a great job. If you have any constructive criticism, definitely let us know. And yeah, with that being said, we're gonna go over the team really quick. Nothing super in-depth, just so you guys can see what we're bringing, why we're bringing it, all that good stuff before I go to the match. And yeah, so our team to the top of the screen for the last time, thankfully. And it consists of Mew, Gengar, Komodo, Swampert, Gmolt, Klefki, Rotom, Kangaskhan, Kartana, and the Magmortar, while our opponent's team is at the bottom of the screen, and it consists of Zapdos, Ferrothorn, Nidoking, Vaporeon, Entei, Tapu Lele, Dhelmise, Noivern, Beware, and a Sneasel. Now, biggest takeaways from this matchup for me personally, I don't switch into T-Row's offense or even a lot of his bulk very well at all. I don't deal with Zapdos, like in the slightest. I think T-Bull plus Hurricane kind of just runs my fade. So we're going to have to be very careful about that. Nidoking, don't switch into Lele. I especially don't switch into Lele. Lele kind of rips me. Sneasel even rips me. Noivern rips me. So I think that if I go too passive with this build, like I kind of have been in a lot of the games I've been losing, I've been incredibly passive with my builds, I'm going to lose the game. So we're going up with a much more hyper-offensive approach, a couple bulky pivots, but it's this team's here to kind of click buttons and win fast or lose fast. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe a different approach is what we need. So first up we have Mew, just rocking out with Psychic, Roost, Flamethrower, and Nasty. We're still decently bulky because I want this to form as a pivot into Nidoking or Lele if need be. And we don't need a ton of bulk because once we get to +2, we're actually going to punch, pretty decent holes in this team. Psychic plus Flamethrower hits theoretically pretty much everything on T-Row's team. I almost said Matt, but he's the one commentating. I play him next week. So I actually think that this Mew set does very well. It's just kind of a, general pivot to a lot of things that really scare me, but as well as, a great offensive threat if we do get that nasty plot off and things like that in this game. So I think it should do pretty well. We're max speed, timid to tie, base 100s like the Entei. Yeah, that's going to be the Mew. Next up we have Gengar rocking out the Choice Scarf, Shadow Ball, Destiny Ball, Psychic, and Sludge Wave. You guys got 76 HP, max special attack, and 180 speed with the Timid Nature. This Pokemon goes crazy in my mind. His Ghost Immunity is Beware, and his Ghost Resist is Sneasel. So I think a Shadow Ball endgame is very nice, or just as a phenomenal revenge killer. I also really wanted to ensure that I had a Scarfer faster than Lele, because my checks to Lele are very flimsy at best, and they're not Pokemon I expect to stick around the entire game. So I want to make sure I have something to revenge it. If it is Scarf, and I really do expect it to be Scarf. Moonblast and Psychic are incredibly free versus my teams. Particularly Moonblast is really free versus me. So I really do expect, and it also covers like a Dance Komodo. So I really do expect Scarf, and if that ends up coming, this is a great way of revenging it. And again, very subpar, mediocre Ghost Resist. We got to be careful of potential priority from the Nidoking or the Sneasel, but other than that, we should be in a pretty good position here with Gengar. Next up, really my last kind of defensive pivot type mod. No, that's not true. We're rocking out with a pretty Spadef Swampert with Scald, Protect, Toxic, and Stealth Rock. Max HP, 100 defense, 108 Spadef, and 44 speed. This is going to serve as our main Zapdos pivot. It's going to pivot into Nidoking really well if we can get our screens up, which, spoilers, we're bringing screens this game. But it's a great defensive pivot, and it gets rocks up, and rocks are incredibly important because if my game plan goes the way I want it to, I want to get up rocks, and I want to knock off the Zapdos with Kartana, and I think I can pretty easily force that sequence. I don't think he has any defensive counterplay to cart stabs plus Sacred Sword otherwise, besides the Zapdos. So I think we actually like really force him into taking that knock. And if we get rocks up, we can get a toxic off on it. It's not going to be as big of a threat because it's just going to be very weakened. Zapdos is scary when it's healthy versus me, so we have to ensure that it stays low and will be in a good spot. It also checks Entei. It checks a non-taunt Noivern, but that's about it. It soft checks the Sneasel to an extent too. We'll live a Lele hit, things like that. We can toxic the Vapo, so bunch of cool stuff there. Next up, we have probably our WinCon in Komodo, rocking out the Throat Spray, soundproof as its ability, Clang Skills, Flamethrower, Flash Cannon, Clegger's Soul, max Timid with Force per Def. We're max so that we can speed tie Nidoking, because I really do value that. If I can outspeed and win a speed tie, knock out Nidoking, I'll take it. Or Throat Spray plus Cranger's Soul, which means we'll get to +2 special attack and then +1 all of our other stats in exchange for 33% of our health. And with screens, I think I can definitely facilitate that. We can also just get +1 by Clanging Sales, because it's also a sound-based move, which is great. But if he's not Scarf Lele, you can get up rocks and chip things down. I think this Pokemon can just win the game. Now, the reason we're going soundproof over bulletproof for something like a Ferrothorn is actually Roar Vaporeon. I think I'm actually pretty comfortable with just killing the Ferrothorn with a Flamethrower. I think I would actually take that trade instead of trying to set up on it in case it's like Thunder Wave or something like that. But a problem I ran into in a couple mocks was Roar Vaporeon, because people are mocking or assuming that I was going to run bulletproof, and we're not doing that anymore. We're running soundproof to really prevent that and kind of let us stick on the field, get that setup off, and really click a button. So that's going to be our Komodo. Next up, we have our Kartana rocking out the Protective Pads. Beast Boost as its ability, obviously. Leaf Blade, Swords Dance, Sacred Sword, and Knockoff. We got 84 HP, 236 attack, and 180 speed with a Jolly Nature. Really good in this game, in all honesty. I know there's a Zapdos. I know we're forcing Protective Pads, as much as I would like to be Scarf or Life Orb or something like that. I think pads are needed so that, one, we're not getting chipped down by a Helmet Ferrothorn or just Ferrothorn in general. Two, we're not getting static paired by that Zapdos, which would be very annoying, to be completely honest. But I think we can very easily force a knockoff onto that Zapdos. Like I said, if we get Toxic with part, knock it off. This thing really does just kind of kill something as soon as Zapdos gets chipped down, and it can force that chip on Zapdos itself without really any drawback because of the Protective Pad. So if we can do that, we'll be in a great spot. We can take a hit from Sneasel if we really need to. We can set up on things like Ferrothorn as long as they're not Thunder Wave. We chew a Body Press pretty easily from a pretty healthy amount. And honestly, once we just start compounding boosts, we might not need to SD, just because of the fact that Leaf Blade, Sacred Sword, Knockoff hits things really hard, which is great. We can even push through a defensive Zapdos if, again, rocks are up, it's lost its boots, little chip, it's got some toxic chip on it, things like that. We're in a good spot with this thing. So another really good Pokemon, and again, it forces that chip on Zapdos, which is incredibly important for the rest of my team. Next up, and lastly, we have kind of the facilitator of this whole offensive build in Klefki, rocking out dual screens, Flash Cannon, Spikes, or Max Spadef pretty much. It's going to be on my main Tapu Lele check. Obviously, it's the only thing on my team that resists its dual stabs, so we kind of are forced into a pretty Spadef one. Unfortunately, we're not leftovers, but I don't expect it to stick around that long. I want to switch it in, get up a screen, get up a couple spikes, and be in a good spot. Now, I know there's Psychic Terrain and we're Prankster. However, all of the moves that we have on our Klefki that are affected by Prankster are not targeting other Pokemon, so we will not be blocked by Psychic Terrain. We can spike up, we can screen up very freely in the Psychic Terrain. I tested it and made sure. I'm pretty sure that's how it worked beforehand, but I made 100% sure that that was the case beforehand, so that, you know, we obviously knew and put ourselves in a bad spot. But yeah, like I said, this thing's here to get up screen, it's here to spike up, and we have Flash Cannons so that we can hit things like Lele and Sneasel, because it's also a Sneasel check as well. So very nice in this matchup to kind of set up the rest of our Pokemon, give us pivots that we really shouldn't have, and you know, kind of facilitate that offense that we really want to, you know, use. But yeah, that's gonna be the team. I guess I break to Matt and Tone. See you guys then.
All right, that's fine.
Hello everyone, my name is Matt O'Shea. Today I'm joined by Tone. We are here for OGalbina's battle against T. Rowe Price, and you guys see the teams. Owen showed you the matchups, and he does not like this matchup at all, and neither do I. And honestly, the offense is the reason. So Owen's going kind of hyper offense. Tone, you know the team. What is Owen bringing today?
Alright, so from what I see here, Owen decided to bring a very sort of hyper-offensive team with a Nasty Plot, Roost, Psychic Flamethrower Mew, a Choice Scarf Gengar, a especially mixed, well, mostly especially defensive. Rocks protect Swampert. Clangorous Soul, Throat Spray, standard Como with soundproof, a protective pads, 4 attacks, Kartana, and a dual screen like Clay Klefki. And you see T-Row brought the Ferrothorn, Tapu Lele, Zapdos, Delmise, Vaporeon, and the Sneasel.
All right, look, the matchup here is gonna be tough. Mew is leading off. It's gonna be leading off. It has a nasty plot set, which is gonna be tough, and we're gonna see a lead of Ferrothorn. It looks like Delmise. Okay, this is gonna be a challenge because yes, Owen has the flamethrower to hit this for super effective damage, but he's gonna drop to a Poltergeist. So what is his play? Do you believe he's gonna be switching out Tone? What do you think is gonna happen now?
It's hard to say. I mean, the end game is definitely looking for Como for sure, but
Looking at this to me,
it's kind of a rough position from a matchup perspective anyway.
honestly,
But
I think he switches on to Como. I think he has to. I think losing this Pokemon early is not good.
yeah, especially considering that Como like looked very very good. Just looking at what he brought, like the only real thing I see that could stop Como would have been like a potential Haze or Roar Vaporeon, but
see
he
the
does have
Poltergeist.
soundproof.
We see the Poltergeist from the Delmise, and it's gonna Oko the Mew. Yeah, Owen got that 50% off, which that's good damage, but losing the Mew, which was one of your win conditions early on, especially behind screens, is such a massive punish. Really unfortunate way to start the game for Owen.
Yeah, I think that was like, I don't think he really had any other counterplay for the Delmise. Like, just looking at the team he brought, it was too offensive to have anything really that could check it defensively. Like Grass and Ghost was like really really good against what Owen brought. Like his only real option was like maybe going hard Kartana, but I don't think he wanted to waste that HP, especially considering that Kartana does do a bit of work against stuff like the Vaporeon, so he wanted to keep that thing as healthy as possible for
Absolutely. And the good news is right now he does get a free knockoff against this Pokemon. It could for sure be Colbur Berry, which he has to be aware of. And the fact that these pads right now means Zapdos coming in isn't that big of a threat at all. We do see the switch coming out. What is it going to be? We're going to see HQPs. Is that the Zapdos? It is the Zapdos. Possibly a Rocky Helmet with static set. What's it going to be? How much is it going to do? Is it a 2 KO? Oh, that is not. That's unfortunate.
That looks physically defensive, if you ask me.
That's tough. And the heat wave potential with this Pokemon as well is going to make it really tough for Owen to want to stay in. What is his switching right now? Is it going to be the Swampert potentially getting to a kill by Hurricane or getting a Toxic off? Is we going to see a free U-turn? What's going to happen as we do see the switch out?
I think the safest play for him, he has to go into the Pert. Like, he doesn't really have any other counterplay. He can't risk going hard Klefki and risk taking a heat wave.
It's just this start has been so rough for Owen, and that lead matchup really put on the back foot. Pert does come out. What are we going to see here? I imagine a U-turn might come out. It does. There is a U-turn, and that's so unfortunate because if Owen had clicked Swords Dance there, if there was no Scarfer, then he would outspeed everything on this team outside of the Sneasel, which he would take the hit from anyways and probably start sweeping, to be honest. Just a really unfortunate event that he was locked into switching out so early on. Oh man,
Yeah.
what if you're
being on the back foot right away from turn one wasn't really what Owen had in mind, especially considering the style of play that he's forced to be aggressive with this type of build, and the fact that he's on the back foot already losing momentum from the Zapdos. Not a definitely good look for Owen, but I feel like if he's still able to position the Como, I think he still has a legitimate shot to bring this thing back for sure.
Absolutely, it is Clangorous Soul, which is going to make its sweeping potential a lot easier. Problem is right now, is this Delmise going to outspeed the Swampert? And if it's banded, do we know that information? That's the question. We see a protecting me out from Swampert, bit of extra leftovers recovery, which is awesome. We do see the Poltergeist, that is one of, I believe it's 16 PP gone, which is nice. And if it is banded now, we know that Swampert should take this hit. Problem is, it doesn't have Flip Turn, it has to rely on Scald as its only attacking move right now.
Yeah, and I think you would want to value you would definitely want to value the Swampert's HP, because if the Swampert gets any weaker, that Zapdos is going to become even more of a problem. So I think his only alternative option at this point would probably be going into Klefki at this point.
So what Owen's actually doing, I think it's really smart. Setting up the rocks here is really good, because if this Pert goes down, he has Kartana, and he can hit the Zapdos for really good damage because there's no boots on it anymore. As we do see the power come out, getting the KO on the Swampert really does suck. We do find out right away it is not choice banned. 2 early kills for Delmise. That's just such a challenge here. What is Owen going to do right now?
considering that this Delmise is kind of a big nuisance for his team. I think he only has at least one of two options. I think his best play would probably be going into the Gengar and trying to force this thing out with the Shadow Ball. I think other than that, though, looking kind of tough. This Delmise has definitely put in a lot more work against his team that he even Owen probably expected, but
well, look, Owen didn't even listen to you. You said go Gengar. Owen went straight into the Kartana and clicked knockoff. I felt like going for a Swords Dance with the Kartana would have been the play there, but at the end of the day, Owen right now is making a decision to weaken the Zapdos, which is important to help with Como-O's endgame, especially if it has some speed investment here. And this Pokemon is just too big of a threat to leave alone. So at the end of the day, he's in a really tough spot. How is he going to get out of it? The knockoff should KO unless it's Colbur Berry, and that is scary to see if it is going to be Colbur Berry because this Pokemon will claim its third KO so early on into the game.
hopefully it doesn't come to that, though, because he definitely can still have an option of winning with the Como, but then the problem becomes that Vaporeon in the back.
Yes, getting this Pokemon weakened, losing out on the Kartana with Vaporeon around really does suck. We do see a switch into, it looks like it's going to be a new Pokemon coming out. It is the Ferrothorn. So Protective Pad's going to come in clutch here, going to be able to get rid or not take damage from the Iron Barbs, potential Rocky Helmet. Will be very nice here. And that's good. That's good damage off on Ferrothorn. I believe that's probably going to be more mixed defensive rather than fully physically invested. If you're Owen, he just goes for the Swords Dance. Would you just go for Swords Dance here? Or do you think a Body Press is too dangerous to deal with?
It's hard to say, to be perfectly honest. If it's not if it wasn't Chople Berry, then I probably would just go straight for the Sacred Sword and see if he can get this thing weakened. At the same time, though, you could probably also use Ferrothorn as potential setup fodder for Como too, but again, it just comes down to whether or not that Vaporeon has Haze. If that's the case, then that Como sweep is looking very, very grim.
Oh, right and there's now the Body Press. Oh, that's going to do big damage. Actually, does not that much, to be honest. If this Pokemon got a speed boost right now, that'd be incredible, but I don't think it's possible with Owen's investment. And if it's a potential Scarf Lele, it's going to be a really big challenge for this Pokemon to potentially sweep right now. But the good news is he's going to get rid of the Ferrothorn, which is amazing for him, and he does get the boost, which is nice. And just a reminder, everyone, make sure to leave a like on Owen's video, of course, subscribe as well, and comment down below not only what you think about this, but what you're thinking about the battle, and what you would do differently, or if you like any of Owen's plays down below as well. Wow. Owen gets his first KO. We're a couple turns in. He's on the hind foot, but he's got a chance still. As long as it's Kartana, as long as he can weaken or get rid of the Vaporeon, Como has a chance. That's what you've been saying all along, Tone.
Yeah, it also comes down to whether or not that Lele is Scarf or not. That's also a big thing to take into consideration because he does have the option of outspeeding a +1 Como for sure.
The good news is that Owen's Gengar is Scarf, which will outspeed the opposing Scarf Lele, which will allow it so that if in the event he gets revenge killed or caught off guard with a Scarf, he still has a good shot at winning the game. HQ Darkrai, that is the Lele, and if I'm Owen, I have to fear for the Scarf on this thing.
I would not risk him being Scarf whatsoever. I think the play is just going directly into the Psychic Resist. He has no chance of like messing around and taking any necessary risk at this point.
The good news is it's a Klefki as his resist, and Klefki can get up screens, and 8 turns of screens at that with the Light Clay, and on top of that, there is no Entei in this matchup, and there is no Nidoking. So this screens should be fantastic here. Most of the team is special outside of the Delmise, which is weakened, and the Sneasel. Shadow Ball comes out doing very little damage. That does not look specs to me at all, so it is probably going to be Scarfed. Wow.
I did a lot less than I was expecting. Although this Klefki is, from the looks of it, running a bunch of special defense, like almost max Spidef on this Klefki, just to show you how much this team really hates Lele.
Owen has to be careful here though, because if he ends up going for Prankster Spikes, I believe it actually won't do anything in this matchup because there is the terrain up, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I don't think that would work. It'd be even worse if he was Thunder Wave too, because he can't paralyze it.
Absolutely. So now, if you're Owen, what are you worried about coming in here? I'd say probably the Zapdos, because you have no coverage for it.
Yeah, it'd be even worse if the Zapdos also had Defog, then those screens would be completely useless.
Oh, and here comes the Delmise, and this Pokemon's gotten to kill every single time it's hit the field, and we do see right away that it is Boots Delmise. There was no... Oh, big damage off on that. That's a fantastic turn for Owen. That's a fantastic turn. He also should outspeed this. He should outspeed this, unless it's a very high investment in speed, and get another KO.
I think he should be fine against this Delmise. His Delmise has put in a ton of work against his team, and seeing this thing gone would be a huge sigh of relief for Owen for sure.
And Klefki outspeeds, and Klefki will get the KO here on the Delmise, and just like that, we have a 4-4 game all over again with a relatively healthy Klefki, and the biggest threat to Owen's team is now gone. Wow.
Yep.
What a way to bring it back so far. HQ Nim comes out, which is the Vaporeon. Now, this thing could be kind of annoying. If you're Owen, what are you worried about with this Vaporeon set? Haze, obviously, right?
It would have. I mean, if it's. I mean, Owen would prefer it be Roar over Haze. If it's Haze, then that Komo's not going to be set up anytime soon. But I think if anything, T-Row would probably either go for like a Wish or a Scald here. So I think the safest play would probably just try to get up your life screen to weaken the damage from the Vaporeon, regardless of whether he goes for Wish or the Scald.
Hello.
It also helps the Zapdos.
We see a substitute.
Oh dear.
Okay.
What is?
Are we going to see a sub-toxic Vaporeon?
Oh boy.
Well,
I mean, if it's sub, then hopefully it's not Haze. But luckily for Owen, Clanging Scales is a sound move which bypasses substitutes. That's also good. That's also good for Owen.
That is true. And what are we going to see here? We're going to see a nice fat workup. Okay, it's offensive Vaporeon. He probably doesn't have to worry.
That is probably the best case scenario. Granted, there is the fear of workup Ice Beam though, just to counteract the Como. But the fact that it's not Roar, I really doubt it's sub Roar or sub Haze or something like that. Considering that we see workup on this Vaporeon.
Right, and based on the HP, honestly, based on the HP it's at right now, I feel like at +2 special attack, he could OHKO it at this range. He'll get the +1 boost in its special defense as well from the Omni boost, but it looks like he's gonna opt for just the attack right now, which is interesting. I'm a little surprised to see this, but at the end of the day, if Owen thinks he can 2 a KO from this range, then you go for it for sure.
I definitely would go for it. I would not waste time with this Vaporeon, considering it's offensive now. It's a lot less of a threat, like to be a pain to stop Como, but still, I would rather see a set like this as opposed to like a standard Wish Protect set for the with the Haze for Como for sure.
Here comes the Flying Soul. Oh, at +2, that would have definitely gone the KO. That's so unfortunate. But what are we going to see here? We see the Throat Spray. Anyways, it's not going to matter because he's going to be able to KO now on the Crackback.
Yep.
And we see an Ice Beam. This is a +1 Ice Beam coming out on Como. Como's pretty bulky, but this should do at least half. Yeah, over half. And thankfully, we don't see a freeze.
Good.
Leftover's going to come out. This will outspeed now, which is great. The one concern, though, with Owen is that he's not going to be able to Omni Boost anytime soon. He has to just go straight for the Clanging Scales.
Yeah, I think he's now banking on the Wincon being that Gengar now on the back.
Which definitely looks doable, considering what he's brought right now. There's no more Delmise, there's no more Ferrothorn, and at this point, there's a Sneasel, which is paper bag thin. There's a Scarf Lily, potentially, which won't matter, and there's Zapdos, which already lost its boots, and is already at 75%. It's going to be at 50% on entry. This is definitely winnable for Owen.
Yep. All just comes down to what this Sneasel is, as long as it's not like a random like Scarf, as long as it's not like a Scarf Sneasel, but I feel like as long as you keep the Klefki in the back, the Sneasel shouldn't be that much of a problem.
Absolutely. I also think that the light screen really helping Owen out here. Without the light screen, he probably would have lost his Como in this situation, so really good prep on Owen's end.
Definitely would have worked.
Clanging Scales comes out, this should get the KO, and it does. So this Como is now at -2 defense, which won't really matter considering that Sneasel without speed and it doesn't need to Ice Shard at all.
Yep.
Oh my god, this Como. Thank god sound moves go through sub. That's all I gotta say about it. God damn. Good prep with the sound moves.
Yeah, he can also go Lele and try to get the kill as well, but if he goes into Sneasel, he does invite back in the Kartana. That's the other thing. I think Owen wants to force at this point. He probably wants to force the Sneasel in to bait out to get the Kartana in and try to just claim do some big damage.
The issue is I think Sneasel will KO the Kartana at the range it's at because he doesn't have Reflect up. If Reflect was up, I would feel perfectly fine. It's just with this, Sneasel's pretty strong. I know people like give it a lot of shit, but it's got some decent attacking stats. And with the Swords Dance or a Life Orb, it really is a hard time to deal with. And Owen said it himself to us. He has a really, really hard time switching into offensive Sneasel, and that's exactly what came here.
Yeah, it can't be helped. I mean, I guess at that point, the best play for him would be try to get in that Reflect up with the with the Klefki to guarantee get the to ensure that Cartana does not get knocked out by like knockoff or whatever.
Well, we see the triple axle. We get all 3 hits, and it does what, 25%? That's definitely not boosting. I'm pretty confident about that, considering this Klefki is fully specially defensive. Now, if I'm Owen, do you try and get up a screen here? Do you try and just get some damage off this thing to put it in range of Gengar, or do you try and get up a spike to wear down this Pokemon and the Lele?
Well, I think if Owen's committed to the end game of Scarf Gengar, I feel like he needs the damage off on this Sneasel to just click Shadow Ball a bit freer.
Oh, Owen just made a great play. This is a great play. He expected the switch out from the Sneasel and got the Gengar in on the Zapdos. It's under 50%. This is more physically defensive. This should drop.
Yeah, Shadow Ball should definitely kill this. You can't risk going hard Sneasel on this.
Not at all, especially with
He could also just click Sludge Bomb, to be perfectly honest. He doesn't need to click Shadow Ball.
Yeah, he can Sludge Wave for sure. We didn't even mention it, but I'm pretty sure that Sneasel was boots. It didn't take any entry hazards from the rocks. So that's huge knowledge for Owen. Sludge comes out.
It's not boosting is very, very important.
Are we going to see a KO on the Zapdos? We do KO. Oh my god, Owen's going to bring this back.
There's a chance. This Scarf Gengar is a win con. He has to get damage off on this Sneasel.
Well, right now, T-Row doesn't know that this is potentially scarfed. He has no idea, but he goes into the Sneasel anyways. I don't think this KOs, but his win condition has to be to get up. Yeah, he's gonna sack off Como.
Yeah, he can't risk staying it. It's not gonna kill at this range.
Completely agree.
I wouldn't risk the roll.
Completely agree.
You gotta sack Como, get back in Klefki, and get the screens up.
For sure.
You have to ensure that Gengar is out of range of any potential knockout from knockoff. So
right. And if I'm Owen, I do just attack this. I sack it off. Yes, a differential would be nice to get, but you go into Klefki, you have 2 options. You click Flash Cannon, or you click Light Screen or Reflect. Honestly, if I was him, I'd probably click Flash Cannon, because then you can have this definitely in range of Sludge Wave. I'd feel really good if I was in Owen's shoes right now.
Definitely.
Triple Axe comes out. Does he get 2 hits? He gets 2 hits and he gets the KO. This is going to come down to the wire.
But yeah, the end game is definitely setting up nice for Gengar. He just needs to hit the damage off on Sneasel to ensure that it's in range.
All right, and if you're Owen, I mentioned before, but do you Flash Cannon here, or do you go for Reflect? What is your play?
This is tough, because if he feels like I feel like he would value the damage on the Sneasel as opposed to the Reflect at this point. Because if he's able to get the damage off, then he pretty much ensures that Gengar can win in the end. Like, I don't think even like. I think unless he thinks that the Gengar isn't scarfed, then he would just probably like not click Ice Shard. But even then, it still wouldn't like matter in the long run.
Also, can we just say no nicknames on this Pokemon? It really does hurt. And we see the Brick Break. Wow. Okay.
Oh my god.
What an amazing turn for Owen there. T-Row expected the screens to go up and goes for Brick Break, and then here comes a fat Flash Cannon.
That was beautiful. Yeah, he needed the damage. But like, there was no sense in wasting a turn going for Reflect there.
And the Klefki lives. This is perfect. Right now, all Owen has to do is click Light Screen as he faints, and then he moves on.
Yep.
Owen's about to bring this back after a miserable start to this game on that Dhelmise. Wow, Klefki has been the absolute MVP of this game for sure. Wow, that's really good.
That is exceptionally good. Like,
Last
no
Pokemon.
No one would have expected this kind of turnaround after that. After the Mew went down so early.
Definitely not. That first few turns were really rough for Owen, but he really has done an amazing job of turning it around right now. And if I'm Owen, he just goes for the Flash Cannon, not going to even risk the potential Psychic Terrain blocking the Light Screen. Yeah, we see a Psychic come out.
At this point, I'd rather just like attack, because if he is Scarf Lele, he has Scarf Gengar. So at this point, he doesn't really need the screens anymore.
Here's my worry. Is this Pokemon really scarfed? We don't know that. And is it Kebia Berry, or is it Casta Berry? Is it Assault Vest? This isn't over.
Yeah, so there's too many factors to take into consideration at this point. Especially because we hardly seen this Lele like do anything. Like,
if this Lele lives, if it lives, it's gone.
Yeah, perfect.
And it's a crit. The crit, hey, we don't know if it mattered. The fact that Gengar outsped is obvious. It was going to outspeed no matter what. But GG's, Owen picking up a nice 2-0 win there on the back of Gengar and Klefki. Fantastic. fantastic. We're gonna be back in a few minutes. Well, a few minutes. It's gonna be a real time for you guys with an interview. I'm excited. This was a fantastic game, guys. So make sure to leave a like, subscribe to all that good stuff for Owen, and we'll be back in just a second with the interview. Start the recording for the interview questions right now. So, Owen, first off, big win here, especially in a match where you weren't comfortable with. The first few turns were kind of rough there. How did you bring it back? What did you feel were the reasons you were able to bring this back?
Well, like you said, the first few turns were really bad because I looked at my team and I said, oh my god, I don't switch into Delmise. I didn't build for Delmise whatsoever. I'd be lying through my teeth if I was like, this is my Delmise answer. Didn't have one. So it put on a ton of early pressure. I think the big things that won me this game were two really big plays. The first was not spiking on that Lele and flash canning or not getting up a screen, because I saw even if you use boots in max HP, it was pretty severely in my favor to 2-hit KO the Delmise with flash cannon and ensure no spin and ensure no 50-50 where I have to give up my Gengar because I really couldn't. It was my only way of winning the game at that point. So ensuring that no spin could really happen against me was really big. And the second was that double into Gengar, allowing me to pick off the Zapdos, because if that Zapdos got a roost up, I don't think there was a scenario in which I won the game. So me being able to go into that and get that Sludge Wave off, I think did secure me the game, because I had sufficient sack pieces in the back to pivot around and get in my Lele for free.
Tone, you got a question?
Yeah, so again, a very solid win for you, Owen. So the main thing I wanted to ask is, like, looking at the preview, I knew that just looking at the matchup and seeing that Como actually did a lot of work just looking at it from preview, but when we saw the sub workup Vaporeon, what compelled you to change your mindset from, okay, Como may not be the end game, and then your mindset quickly went from making your win con from Como and making it into that Scarf Gengar in the back, which was very well played by you. So what exactly was going through your mind as you saw the offensive Vaporeon, and the end game setting up for you with your Gengar at the end there?
So at that point, I was already pretty doubtful. Once I confirmed Scarf Lele, and I didn't necessarily confirm it. But the manner in which you brought it in on my cart kind of screamed, "I'm Choice Scarf," or just like a phenomenal bluff by T-Row there. But it kind of confirmed to me, at least, that he was indeed Scarf. And if that's the case, I'm never getting up to Clangor's Souls. Plus, on top of that, with that thing working up, obviously, I don't have a great way of punishing that thing. My way of punishing it at that point was going into my my cart, letting it die as I Leaf Blade break the sub, and that's after sacking something else, or just like letting my Klefki get absolutely taken advantage of and bullied. And I knew that there was a light screen up. I knew that Komodo was bulky, so I knew I'd be able to chew up the ice beams even if even after I saw the workup. I knew I was fine, provided I avoided a freeze. And due to the throat spray, obviously I 2-hit KO through the sub. He could have made an aggressive play and maybe gone Lele there, but even if he does, I threaten out the Vaporeon. It's really low at that point. It's not getting that opportunity to sub up again as long as I don't play like an idiot. And Komodo's done his job at that point, because I just didn't see an endgame for it with a Scarf Lele in the back.
So let me ask this question too to both of you. Kartana broke early game, Klefki with support, and Gengar was the win condition. Which of those three was the MVP for you?
Oh man, it's tough. Because I think Klefki definitely facilitated that game, and I think it killing the Delmise, keeping away rocks was really big. Even though I only got up screens once, I never set a spike or anything like that. I clicked Flash Cannon like 5 or 6 times, which was crazy. I want to say Klefki too, because even in that endgame, it put me in a position where I know he's not like power or big or anything because he showed boots on his Sneasel. I just needed him to take one hit so he'd be in range of that Scarf Gengar. I believe I did 94 max with my, what do you call it?
Flash
with
cannon.
my Gengar Sludge Wave.
Okay,
I wasn't carrying Focus Blast, and it's not a move I want to lock ever. So I really do think it was Klefki. Komodo even saved me the game, in my opinion, though, too, like Tom was saying. That Vapo was really interesting, really cool, because if you look at my team, I really don't appreciate like Surf plus Ice Beam in the slightest. So that was definitely a cool bring on T-Row's end. So definitely those two. Gengar obviously clutched up. Cart was great for knocking off the boots off of that Zapdos and then claiming another kill a little bit later on in that Ferrothorn. Again, kind of opening up that Sludge Wave endgame. So it wasn't really one definitive thing, but I'd probably say Klefki was the MVP.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. because the main thing I said, like, you needed the damage on Sneasel more than you needed the screens, because you were never killing the Sneasel from the range of HP he was at, and getting the guarantee damage was more beneficial, especially considering he went for Brick Break, predicting you to go for screens that
Mhm.
went for Flash Cannon. I think that was like pretty imperative, especially considering at that point you didn't really need the screens per se, because like your setup
Everything
screens,
died
like,
to a Lele in the back anyways.
yeah, like it
Um,
didn't make any sense to like go for screens because your win cons shifted to Gengar, so there was no point to like, as long as you got the damage off, you just click Sludge Wave for free and then just killed stuff. So I think the only
100%.
doubt, I think the only like 50-50 that Matt was talking about during was what item was the Lele going to be? Was he Scarf? Was he Kebia or the Poison Resist Berry? Like it was like a bunch of things. But when Klefki took out the Lele, it didn't really matter anymore. As long as you could, as long as you checked on this Sneasel, then Gengar
And
definitely
I did
wanted.
think about in my head, I was like, oh man, what if he has Kebia or Kasib? Even though it doesn't make too much sense, because when you're weak to both dual stabs, it's not great to have a lure for a Pokemon that you kind of have to make a 50-50
Yeah,
on which button he's clicking.
yeah.
But in my head, that was popping through, or Salic Berry, something like that. But in my head, I'm like, okay, if he's Salic, he dies. If he's Kebia, if he doesn't die, I still have Cart in the back to outspeed him killing. He obviously can't sub in my face or anything like that. So
Also, one other thing. Also, one other question. What was your mind? What did your mindset shift at all when you saw a team preview? When you saw like no Nidoking, like I
a
thought that
little
was like,
bit, yeah. So it shifted not only because I saw no Nidoking, which was really good versus me offensively, but it really shifted when I saw the Dhelmise. Like I kind of said it a little bit earlier. I saw it and I was like, oh man, it spins and it just ruins my whole entire game plan. I can't keep up rocks. I can't win this game. I can't get up in my head. I thought, if I don't have spikes, I also don't win this game. But that ended up not being the case. But still, rocks were definitely important. I didn't kill that Zapdos in that endgame ever if I didn't have the knock plus rocks. It was very, very difficult for me to deal with. Just defensive Zapdos with its dual stab combo and just Roost and U-turn. It was almost impossible for my team to beat without forcing that knockoff and getting rocks chip on, especially because Swampert was dead, so I didn't have a Spadef Swampert to switch in and Toxic Protect and things like that. So I think it was the Dhelmise that shifted it the most, because I was absolutely terrified, because I played a couple mocks, hadn't seen a Dhelmise, don't know why, because it was really good at me, so I gotta yell at Jason and Jesse for not bringing it, but it was definitely, it wasn't a bad bring, that's not what I'm saying at all. I was definitely a little underprepared though.
Yeah, he probably felt comfortable. He probably felt more comfortable bringing an offensive Vaporeon, considering he had ways of wearing down the Moltres with like a more offensive Vaporeon. Even if he did bring a Nidoking, it could have easily had like Rock Slide or some like AV Rock Slide or a Scarf Rock Slide, something like that. And even the Zapdos can wear it down too if it's not like offensive or whatever.
So this is one of the beauties of Draft League. You had a team which was hyper offense, going to focus a lot on just multiple win conditions, whether it was Nasty Plot Mew, the Como with Clangorous Soul, Scarf Gengar, the Kartana getting Beast Boost stuff. But every single Pokemon you had did a job. Mew was on the field for one turn, but without the Flamethrower on the Dhelmise, you have a hard time breaking that thing. Swampert on the field for one turn and gets a Protect. We won't count that, but then the Rocks, you said yourself you couldn't win with it. And those two things really facilitated a win condition. So draft in general doesn't mean a Pokemon has to be around forever. Set up what you need to set up, move on to the win condition. Focus on the end goal, and the end goal in this game was Scarf Gengar for the win. Wow. Great game, Owen.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys commentating as well.
Go ahead and give us your outro. Talk, say bye to your fans.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys thought of the commentary from Matt and Tone here. Let them know what they did good. Any constructive criticisms is obviously, definitely welcome as well. Drop a like on the video, sub if you're new, and yeah, see you guys in the next time. Later.
Alrighty.